My name is Ross Noble. I graduated in 2006 from the LINT course and I studied French and Spanish. I started working freelance about 13-14 months after I started my first job in Madrid, and it happened by accident. I had done an interview for a company who offered me a job that I didn't take in the end, and they then offered me freelance work, which I took over the summer and then began building up gradually while still working in-house in another agency. I did that for 6 months and then I took the plunge and stopped working in an agency and dedicated myself to full-time freelancing. There are different advantages and disadvantages associated to working in-house and working for yourself. Working in an agency has one huge advantage, and that's a paycheck. At the end of every month or on a given day every month you will have money in the bank. You don't have to do anything extra to get that money. Disadvantages of working in-house is that you're almost always on call and there's no extra money associated to that necessarily. If a customer phones up at 6 PM and you're not meant to finish till 6:30, you could be there for several more hours before you can finish and go home. Agency work can also be very stressful because you're working with other people and relying on them to do their job and pull their weight, and depending on the boss you have, that can be an easier or more difficult thing to deal with. Working for yourself as a freelancer has many disadvantages, but if you can sort them out, it all becomes very positive. You have to find customers, you have to manage your own work. If you have several customers sending you stuff at the same time, they won't know how many words you're doing in total, so you have to balance things and manage your own workflow. You have to monitor how much work you're doing, you have to take note of it, you have to take note of all the bureaucracy that each individual agency requires in order for you to invoice that work. Depending on each agency's rules, you will then wait 30, 60 or 90 days to be paid, and you will often have to chase up payments that are late or that haven't come through in time. You may have to pay bank fees yourself in order to receive money in the UK in euros and have it converted into sterling. They may deal with that, but you have to remember each agency's individual rules. However, you will probably earn more money as a freelancer than in-house. You will be able to take time off when you wish. You will be able to be based wherever you want. I originally worked in Madrid and then moved to Berlin, Luxembourg, and I'm now moving to Lisbon, and I haven't had to find a new job each time I've moved. I've simply told my agencies, my clients, that I'll be off work for a week while I move, and then I'm back up and running. There are a lot of flexibility advantages built into freelancing. I just completed an internship, which is officially called a traineeship, at the European Parliament DG Translation, which is based in Luxembourg. There is a form online that you have to fill out. The internships take place 4 times a year. It says 2 times a year on the website, but they actually run 4 times a year, but they only take 2 application intakes. The form has a lot of space for you to show off. They're very keen to see that you've spent time abroad. The more time abroad, the better. They like you to have more than 2 languages in your combination if possible, or languages that they're in need of. The 2 people arriving in the English department when I left both had Polish, mainly because family members were from Poland. They also like to see experience, if you have any, and that you're actually interested in either working for them in the future or working as a translator in the future. The traineeship as a whole was a wonderful experience. It had different sides to it though. There were 45 of us starting the day that I started, which meant there were 2 people for French, 1 from Belgium and 1 from France, 2 people for Spanish, 2 Portuguese, 2 Italians, 2 Germans, 2 Polish, 2 Slovenians, nationalities that you probably never met before. One of my best friends and my flatmates when I was living in Luxembourg was Maltese, and I just spent a week in Malta. It is very hard to underestimate the social side of the traineeship and how important that was. It was almost another Erasmus, but you were getting paid for it. On the work side, there were pros and cons. The European Parliament is not like anyone else you will ever work for. An agency works in a very specific way. It is a company. The European Parliament has its own internal bureaucratic rules. The computer systems work differently. They use Trados sometimes they don't. The sort of documents you're going to be dealing with are documents that they know how they like translated. It's not a normal translation process. That takes time to learn and get to grips with. But if you wanted to work in the European Parliament, it's showing you an insight of what that would be like. The work itself was less stressful than working in the freelance market, perhaps because I'd been very stressed as a freelancer and in-house. It was less quantity each day, but they were far more interested in getting everything word perfect and comma perfect. Nothing could be left out. But it was very well supported. I worked in a department of about 40 translators, all of whom were very pleased to meet me, all of whom were very keen to answer any questions I had, queries. There was this dictionary, there was that dictionary, you can find that information here, you can find that information there. Everybody was willing to offer support, guidance, comments, revision of your work. It was very relaxed, very open, very positive, and very informative.